Good evening, everybody, and welcome. This is the London Financial Independence Meetup group, hosted by Caroline and myself. We are approaching 2 years of running this, and really just trying to provide a space, a UK-based space, Europe-based space, to discuss financial independence. And we started off in pubs, and then we moved online to Zoom, and that's been a great success. And I know we're all celebrating that we are slowly moving out of lockdown and heading towards more freedom. And as we enjoy the nice summer weather here, and we just want to say thank you to everyone, our regular guests that join when you join us faithfully. And we always have many new people joining as well, and we welcome you. And we really try here to discuss topics that you have suggested. And sometimes Carol and I will do something. And sometimes, like today, we're lucky to have some great minds, often from people among you, to share your experience and what you're up to. And that's what we're doing today. And Caroline will introduce our mystery, not so mystery speaker today. And I just wanted to announce also that for July, July the 14th will be our next event, and it'll be that's a Wednesday, and we are going to meet in Wandsworth Park. So it'll be a live event. Thanks, Tom. I love your facial expression. I hope I hope you can make it. Look, we have to pick somewhere geographically, and we were just hoping that we understood a lot of people were in south of London, and hopefully Wandsworth Park should be reasonably easy to get to with public transport. So we're hoping that's going to be convenient for as many of you as possible, and we'll see how we go on the numbers. If it becomes law breaking, we'll have to split up into breakout rooms, I guess, in the park. So we'll send more. We'll post more details about that. But we are really excited to finally get to see all of you in person again, and we'll post the event after this. Okay, so hope to see you there. And with that, I'll say have a good evening. Do use the chat if you're not used to meetups. Use the chat to ask questions and get to know each other. You can post questions to the group. You can post questions directly with each other. We probably will do some breakout rooms, which is a chance to network with each other and keep the conversation going. But we do hope, it's always dangerous giving Gary the microphone, but we do hope to make it an interactive event. Sorry, Gary. We do hope to make it interactive for everyone to get a chance to ask questions. So yeah, have a very good evening. Caroline?
No, so I don't have too much to say to introduce our guest, but yeah, just to echo what Andrew said, thank you all for joining us tonight. I know some parts of the UK are getting rid of a heat wave and we're all sweltering a bit. So that's why an outdoor event in July should be perfect. We were thinking about doing a pub, but with the lockdown being moved, it's probably still not safe, but maybe later in the year. So I think Gary has been with us since probably the pub days. I'm sure some of you have met him in person. He's definitely been a member of our meetup group for a long time. And when he started, sorry? Just a reminder to mute yourselves. When he started his YouTube journey a few months, almost a year now, but Gary will talk about that more himself. I said, I can't wait to hear how this has gone, what's the experience been like. And Gary, as always, is so willing to share his knowledge with the group. And he's prepared a fantastic presentation today where we can really sit back. I know this is a slightly niche area. It's a side hustle. Not all of you are going to go out and set up YouTube channels, but it is a really interesting topic. And I'd encourage you to jump in at any point and ask questions, because this is a chance to hear from an expert. You never know, at some point you might decide this is a side hustle for you, and it crosses over into lots of other areas of financial independence, like just how to set up passive income streams. Right, so Gary, I'm going to just make sure that you can, here we go. You should have screen sharing ability now. Over to you.
Thank you. Great. So let's load that up. Right, can you all see my screen okay?
Perfect.
Brilliant.
Yeah, all good.
Right, let me move you guys out of the way so it doesn't cover up like I did yesterday when Caroline and I tested this. So yeah, Caroline's just took the first hour of my talk basically saying, I appreciate today's call is probably not for everyone. So please do interrupt me at any point and ask any questions, because I know it is a bit of a niche subject. But yeah, we're going to be talking about my journey so far on YouTube, which has been quite a fun one. So very, very quick bit about me. I'm 31 years old. My profession is a photographer. Until very recently, I run a photo booth company and then rental properties. Just a quick thing, Fire actually allowed me to give the photo booth company away to one of the staff as a gift. So I thought that was quite a nice thing to share with you guys, that was something that Fire allowed me to do to one of my very loyal staff members. I was able to sort of gift him the company, which was a really amazing thing to be able to do. So yeah, about 3 months ago, I retired from photo booths. But I sort of lean fired by 30. So the properties now basically pay for me to live. But I'm aiming for a much fatter Fire by 35. And yeah, I started a YouTube channel to talk about my Fire journey basically. So for any of you that would want to come and check it out, it's called Free Your Finance. It's very early days, but this is what it looked like, just to make sure you're on the right channel, as there's a lot of scam artists that are pretending to be me and various other finance channels right now. So I started it. I had a weird want to always have a YouTube channel. And the obvious thing to probably talk about would have been photography, being something I've been professional at for 14 years. But it didn't really, I wasn't very passionate about it. I know that's something I shouldn't really be admitting. But I am very passionate about finance, which is quite a strange thing and probably not something to add to my Tinder profile. But I was bored and quiet in lockdown. I thought there was a lack of UK Fire material. And I think my friends, family, and my girlfriend was probably bored of hearing me talk about it. So it was a chance for me to talk to something about it, be it a camera. So I started at the end of May 2020. So it's literally just about been a year. You can see that was my first ever bash at DIY haircuts. So it was a bad one. But the point of this slide is that I started just by filming it on my iPhone. I had no lighting, I had no mic, I had an awful haircut, and I had no clue. But I think this slide hopefully resonates with anyone thinking of starting any side hustle. I think the most important thing to do is just to get on with it. I delayed starting my YouTube channel for so long, and who knows where I'd be if I just got on with it sooner when I knew I wanted one. So I'm going to fly through these first slides quite quickly because, again, to a lot of you, they may not be too relevant. But firstly, we're going to talk about how I find ideas to talk about. So the top section on this slide you can see are my main material, I suppose you can say. So things like sharing my story, experiences and mistakes. I do my monthly investment portfolio updates. I do property tours and renovations of my buy-to-let properties. I talk about my investing experiments right now. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the book, The Little Book That Still Beats the Market by Joel Greenblatt. He's got something called the Magic Formula investing strategy, which supposedly is supposed to outperform index funds. So right now I'm doing an experiment buying those stocks every month and sharing that on the channel. I share explanations, whether or not they're helpful or not, I don't know. So helpful is my opinion, but to you guys, they might be boring explanations. And then I have interviews with other people in the fire space. So I've spoken to people in the buy-to-let community. I've spoken to people in the fire community. So they're the sort of main things I talk about. Probably one of the biggest mistakes I suppose I make is I don't follow trends, which is a really silly thing to do really as a YouTuber. So you'll find a lot of people sort of follow the hot topics. So often you'll find people speaking about things like GameStop, cryptocurrencies, Tesla. but it's not really my cup of tea and my bag. It's not really what I advocate, I suppose. So it's not something I talk about personally. I probably am missing out on huge potential of growth by not speaking about these things. But a few ideas of what you could talk about if you ever wanted to start maybe a social platform like YouTube or Instagram. There's Google Trends, which allows us to look at the current trending information. You can talk about the latest news in whatever niche you're talking about. So for me, obviously it's finance, so I can talk about something like the stock market crash. And right now I don't share my exact figures online. Now this is something I've had discussions with people, because again, many of the YouTubers are sharing exact figures of their portfolios, and you'll always find the videos do much better if you share the real life figures. I suppose people are nosy and they want to know. But I've always decided to avoid doing this due to security reasons. So I'd be really interested to hear your opinions on it. If anyone wants to shout out or write in the chat, I'd be interested to hear what you think about me not sharing the figures.
Gary, does YouTube give any statistics themselves or suggestions about these are hot topics? Can you go and find trending data?
Not that I know of. I've never seen that, and YouTube is part of Google, so I don't know if it would be classed as Google Trends maybe, but not that I know of, to be honest. But I don't. That's not me saying it doesn't. But no, not that I know of. It does in my sort of in my back end, so to speak, of my YouTube. It does show me other popular channels in a similar niche to me and the sort of things they're talking about. So you can see what people are talking about and what's performing well. So a quick slide about how I record the content. So I always take multiple takes. I'm really awful at presenting. I stutter and I mumble like crazy. So often it takes me 4 or 5 goes to say one sentence. So I do sometimes script my videos, which it does help me a lot. But the problem is you've got to be very careful not to sound too robotic. I think a lot of people often say I come across better live than I do in my videos. I think it's where I do mumble so much. But maybe you guys can give a watch to a video and let me know your thoughts. And then more recently, I have introduced lighting and a microphone to give me much more consistent results on the videos, because I think that's one of the most important things on any sort of social media platform, whether it be YouTube or one of the others. You do need to make sure any results are consistent to keep people coming back and knowing what they're going to get. So here's a quick screen grab. It's actually really hard to screen grab from a video, and these were the best faces I could get. But here's a screen grab of my sort of before and after. So you can see I've just simply added a softbox and a bit of rear lighting. This is actually my recording position. So this is now how I sort of look on video, so to speak.
I think your new t-shirt is awful. You need to go back to that other t-shirt.
I didn't dress properly in the first one. I was all scrunched up.
No, Gary,
your hair's still the same though.
Pardon?
Your hair's still the same.
The hairstyle, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it looks much more professional. I think it was very interesting to learn that people who share their actual FI numbers have more followers than if you don't. I'd wonder, could you give a little more detail about like percentages, multiples, perhaps? Because this is something, you know, Caroline and I have always discussed with this Meetup group, that we do share a lot of our numbers, but we don't share our net worth as well. So, you know, we've had that conversation as well. Sure. Can you share a little bit more about what impact it has on YouTube?
I think, obviously I don't know exact figures of what I would get if I did share those figures. To be honest with you, I haven't really got a big problem sharing it. It's more the security thing that I worry about, whether or not it could give away information that would help scammers. And I could imagine the sort of places we hang out are probably scammers' sort of hunting grounds, isn't it? So my net out from my total net worth, about 15 to 20% is in index funds, which would make my updates probably a lot more interesting because it is quite a large figure. And I think people are attracted by it when figures are shown, just because it makes them interested to see larger amounts. Whether or not they're sort of hoping it all goes wrong, I don't know. But I know many of the other fire bloggers, some sort of share exact figures and exact numbers and exact funds, and others don't. So I was really interested to hear everyone's thoughts on that. I don't know if anyone else has got any other opinions on it.
I actually consume a lot of YouTube, and I love when people share their numbers, although I'm not really 100% sure they are the true numbers. You can't really tell or be sure, but it's just a good idea to have, to have an idea of how other people live with when they reach fire, for example. And if you know their fire number and you kind of can see their style of living, then it's kind of nice to have the numbers. But if you don't, again, I think it's fine as well. I mean, I wouldn't say that needs to be shown all of the time, because if you don't feel comfortable, you just don't feel comfortable to do it.
Thanks, Irina.
And I wouldn't do it either.
Thank you. Yeah, it's certainly something that's crossed my mind many times, and it did also worry me that would it give the wrong impression that maybe a lot of my viewers are quite young, maybe they're just getting into investing, and would the figure maybe seem like a bit overwhelming even, that sounds arrogant, and obviously I'm not talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds, don't worry, but it did worry me a little bit that would it sort of make them think, oh God, I've only got £100 to invest, I've got no chance, which is exactly the opposite to what I'm trying to do on the channel. If anything, I'm trying to encourage people to start thinking about their futures. So another quick slide, how I edit the videos. So for any of you guys that ever need to edit videos, there is a free software on Apple called iMovie. It's really great. It's really easy to use. Just like anything in life, there is literally thousands of videos on YouTube explaining how to use the software. A little tip, I edit on 2x speed, so I sound really stupid, like a smurf or whatever when I'm talking, but it makes the editing process a lot faster. I'm mostly just cutting out the gaps and all my stuttering, which I spoke about earlier. I sort of edit in a process that I edit the main content first, so the sort of the underlying video first, and then I introduce what's known as, well, I think it's known as B-roll and cuts and graphics and stuff. The idea being that it keeps different things flashing up on the screen and hopefully helps the viewer stay interested for longer than just one video, not moving or not cutting or anything. Although I have had comments with people saying it's really annoying, the cuts, so obviously each to their own. And the other thing, again, we're just talking about consistency. I do think it's very important to make sure audio is consistent. I know as a sort of avid YouTube watcher that when the audio is going up and down, it's very frustrating. So I do try my hardest to get the audio at a good, consistent level. So for any of you guys starting any sort of online social platform, here's a few useful websites to get different things from. So firstly, there's Pexels. This is for free stock photos and videos. So no cost at all. It is one of the only ones I found where it is completely free. And you don't even have to actually, what's the word? Recognize the artist. Not sign up. You don't have to.
Site.
Yeah, you don't have to. Sorry, did someone say
Credit
what?
someone.
Credit.
They'll cite them. Yeah.
Yes. Canva, another great website for any of you guys, again, on social media or even for your business websites or something. It's sort of like a graphic design tool where you can make thumbnails, you can make social media posts. But the cool thing about Canva is they're all in the correct sizes. So there's, for example, sizes for Instagram story, Instagram post, Facebook post, Facebook, etc. So that's a really cool free site. There is a sort of pro version where it gives you more things, but I'm still using the free one and I've never found anything I can't do. And then finally, YouTube actually has a music library of free music, which a lot of people don't know about. So if any of you want to sign up to YouTube, you can download royalty-free music directly from YouTube. They offer, I can't remember, there's hundreds of songs on there of various sort of genres and stuff that are completely copyright free. So on to the sort of main subject of tonight's video. Maybe before I move on to this, has anyone got any questions or would anyone like to talk about anything?
Gary, I just wanted to know how much investment you'd spent on getting the equipment and all the setup stuff.
Sure.
Or was it something that you got gradually?
So yeah, I did get it gradually. Obviously, being a photographer, I was lucky that I already had the cameras and lenses, although I would say that you wouldn't need a camera and lens like the one I use. You could easily get away with using a pretty basic camera, really. So the main investments I've made for the channel, I bought a microphone, which was about £50. I purchased a software that helps me with like all the metadata, like the tags and the SEO side of things. So it's basically an online subscription. It's like a tool called TubeBuddy. So it's sort of like almost a plugin that plugs into YouTube. It's really clever, but it helps you know what keywords to target and things like that. That was quite pricey because I went for the highest version because at the time I was working towards monetization. So a lot of you will probably cringe, but that was £300 for the year. And you'll cringe when you see the amounts I've made. So it was definitely seen as an investment into the channel. Like I knew that once I was monetized, I will be making a little bit of money each day. So eventually that was going to pay for itself. And then I purchased a softbox and light, which was about £25 on a stand. So they're my main investments really for the channel.
You're filming with the iPhone?
I was filming with an iPhone, and now I'm filming with my professional cameras from work.
Oh right, of course you have.
At the time, I was just using an iPhone, and it wasn't even on a tripod. It was sort of wedged up behind a book or something, with Katie sort of checking the screen every now and then that it was okay. So
Gary, I just wanted to ask a question actually.
Sure.
What do you do in terms of planning? Because I once read that to really kind of get going with a social media channel, you have to sort of plan at least 30 posts or 30 videos ahead. So I just wondered, are yours quite spontaneous, or do you sort of have a plan, like you're going to do at least one a month? Or
so I post a video once a week. I actually broke that rule for the first time about 2 weeks ago because Katie and I were away. So I felt quite guilty actually not meeting that schedule, but I post once a week. So to answer your question, I don't plan. And it would probably help me to plan, but I don't plan. I have 2 or 3 sort of go-to videos that happen each month. So I have my monthly Vanguard update. I have my monthly Magic Formula investing experiment that we spoke about earlier. So they're 2 videos straight away that fill in 2 of the 4 weeks each month, basically. So then pretty much I need to find 2 more videos for the remaining 2 weeks. Something I do sometimes when I haven't got around to recording a video is I actually go live. So I don't know if many of you guys watch YouTube, but channels can go live, and it's almost like tonight where people can be on the chat and chatting to us, and we talk about fire and investing and buy-to-lets. So that's another way out, a bit of a cheeky way out. I'll do a sort of last-minute live, which gets me my video still, because once the lives are finished, they do upload just like a video onto your channel, and they're available to watch back too. So yeah, I hope that answers your question a bit, Sanji. But yeah, that's what I do. But yes, you'd be very sensible to plan more than I do, but that's been my problem ever since I was at school. Actually, I was never much of a planner. So obviously, sorry, did someone say something then? No.
Could I ask a question?
Please.
Well, I think the thing that's stopping me is I do want to do YouTube. I think I do, but I am actually a bit nervous about it. I just can't get started. I do these to-do lists. I should do this. I should do that. Oh no, I need the kit, and I keep on making excuses to myself. No, I need better kit. No, I can't do this. Oh no, I can't. No, I don't. And I sort of start writing things. I think, oh no, I can't say that. And then I think, well, I don't know. I just feel very self-conscious, to tell you the truth. And I think, I sort of want to do it. And also the thing is I want to do it about travel and travel tips and my experiences, and put a bit of a language slant on it and various things. I've got lots of ideas. I don't know if it will work out, but partially it's a passion and partially I hope to make some money. But
sure.
I think largely it's a passion. And I'm hoping that if my passion is good enough, I will be able to then make money, because I'm sort of coming up to retirement and I see it as something that I'm doing what I want anyway, and traveling hopefully one day, you know. But I've also got some sort of analysis I've been doing and things like that. And I've got all this, and I just felt just overwhelmed, and I just can't put it out there, and I just don't want to touch the button.
I mean, Gary, do you have any suggestions for quick ways to do this? Is it good to have an interview? Is there a particular format that you could just say, bam, here's a 5-minute quick?
I haven't got anything like that. All I would say is I was exactly the same, and the biggest thing for me was just to get on with it. I know that's an awful advice, but I was exactly the same, and you just need to take the jump and do it. I really do believe, having done it myself and how much enjoyment I get from doing it, I really do think you'll enjoy it once you've got. But it's just like anything, you just need to get started. That unfortunately, I haven't got any better advice than that. I would just get going, just put your iPhone on, hit record and see where it goes. And people connect with people, you know. So I think people will find it, what's the word? I think people will relate to the fact you are a bit nervous, you know. I can't see it, but I would just say, just get on with it. I know it's easy for me to sit here and say now, but I was just the same. And I had to keep having people telling me, Gary, just get on with it. Stop being a wimp. And
if you see what some people post on YouTube, I mean, you know, people will watch anything. I mean, I'm not saying that yours won't be fantastic, but it's just that you don't have to have some very sky-high quality expectations. I think it can be very simple. Anyway, that'll probably be the topic of our first breakout room. So let's keep going, Gary.
Awesome. So we're now going to head on to how we can make money from YouTube. So there's 4 main ways, there's probably more, but the 4 main ways I can think of making money off YouTube: YouTube ads, which you've all probably seen, affiliate marketing, sponsorship and membership. And hopefully this again can be taken across other side hustles too. So just to keep you all awake for a little while more. So first one, affiliate marketing. So I'm sure most of you know what it is, but just to sort of explain it, the good thing about affiliate marketing is you can make money from day one. There's no sort of, there's no limit to, not limit, that's not the right word.
Thresholds.
There's no threshold to get into it. You can do anything. So the 3 main ones I use in the sort of niche I'm in, I use Amazon Associates, so I can link to books and stuff that I'm recommending, and I get a very small amount back. Open Rents, which is my buy-to-let platform that I use for finding tenants and managing my tenants, which I know Daniel uses as well. We've spoken about that before. And my trading platforms for my referral schemes, which for free shares, which is Trading 212 and Free Trade. When I talk about buying stocks, people get a free stock if they sign up using my link. So I get paid just a small amount if someone signs up using that link. But obviously over time that builds up. Katie did actually remind me another one that I share the match betting, which Caroline is quite into and Sanji's into. So I share the profit accumulator referral, and I've actually done really well off that one. They give £20 every time someone signs up. With Amazon, you get paid whatever someone buys 24 hours after clicking your link. So when I look at my reports, often I'll be paid by someone buying like dog biscuits or something, you know.
Sorry, Gary, you mean even if they buy another product and not your link?
Exactly. Providing it's within 24 hours of clicking your link, you will get whatever they've purchased. So sometimes when I look through my list, it's quite funny the things that people have purchased.
Okay, because I've always felt guilty because I've clicked on links and then I went and bought something else. But in fact, I've been funding half of the blog universe.
And if you've bought something more expensive than their product, you help them even more.
And just another thing, jumping in, sorry, you know, I know we're talking about YouTube here, but I think these lessons are for lots of different side hustles on content marketing, you know, for if you have a blog or you have a podcast, or I guess a Meetup group or a Facebook group. Yeah, so definitely very valuable.
And obviously, as your audience grows, the more clicks you will get, and obviously the money can increase. And some sort of large blogs get quite a large sum of revenue from affiliate links. You know, some businesses are built around affiliate links. I think that's, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's basically the business model of these cashback sites, isn't it? Things like Top Cashback and Quidco, etc. It's along that sort of idea anyway. So the one little note I've made, well, two notes I've made, sorry, is personally I only recommend items and services that I actually use. I know there are many YouTubers that will just put an affiliate link for everything and the dog, you know, but personally I only share things that I use, and you do need to declare that it's an affiliate link. There's quite strict rules on this, so you do actually need to make people aware that you are getting paid for that link, even be it sometimes you were getting paid maybe half a penny or whatever. So I've made a note, the potential gain is fairly low unless you start driving a high amount of clicks. The free shares can be very profitable because the free shares can be up to £100 or £200 depending on what platform. So if you get a high value free share, it can be quite profitable. But Trading 212, I know a few people have been trying to use my Trading 212 referral link right now, but they're actually like closed for new customers still, I think.
Excuse me, Gary, I don't understand. What do you mean by a free share?
So basically, if someone decided that they would like to invest money in something like Trading 212 or Free Trade, which you can also buy ETFs as well as individual stocks on, by signing up using my referral link, they and I both get a free share worth up to either £100 on Trading 212 or £200 on Free Trades. It's sort of like their promo deal that they do. So I get a free share as well as you get a free share.
Cool.
So most of the time the free share is worth at least around £7 ish. So I maybe shouldn't be saying this, but I've been going around to friends and family saying you might as well lob a quid at it because you're almost certainly going to get a £7 free share. And I did that with Katie, I did that with my sister, I did it with my mum, and my sister actually got AstraZeneca, which was about an £87 stock at the time from £1. So to me it's a no-brainer. But yeah, does that explain it a bit better?
And the share that you get is determined by the share that the clicker purchases.
I've only ever got the same share as what my clicker has got. So I presume I get the same share they do. And it is completely random. So you may only get, the one I got a couple of days ago was called Zynga or something. Basically, you may have seen they make games on Facebook. There's Zynga Poker and Zynga Farm something. And that one was £7.50. So like I said, the stocks can change from being a fairly small value right up to £100 or £200.
How to diversify your portfolio.
Exactly. So now I have hundreds of stocks on my Trading 212 from the referral. And by the way, you can sell these stocks, although there will be things in the terms and conditions that if you sell it straight away, you have to wait 30 days to draw it out, because obviously they don't want people just turning it over quick. So back to the last little bit about affiliate marketing. Anders asked a question which made me think I probably didn't explain it very well. I think I made it sound like I get whatever product is ordered. That's not the case. I get a tiny percentage of the amount. I don't know the exact percentage, and if anyone does, please shout over me or write it in the comments box, but I think I usually get about 10 or 20p for around a £10 purchase, so it's something like that. Maybe it's not even quite that much. I'm not sure if anyone knows. But here is a view of a sort of 4 or 5 month period since I started posting the links. Yes, 6th of June, 6-month period. So you can see I haven't made very much money.
£1.41.
£1.41. So that bought my my Aldi egg and cress sandwich. But yeah, you can see you're not going to make your millions off of this unless you're getting a serious number of clicks through. So you can see from 340 clicks, basically, I've made £1.41.
So can you just talk us through the graph slowly and explain what the different pieces are?
Sure.
Because I've never seen this before, actually.
Sure. So yeah, there is actually I always get my words mixed up. See what I mean about my stuttering? There is a explanation in the top right corner to help you guys. So the red line is the number of clicks. The yellow line is ordered items, but you don't necessarily earn for those items because it depends if the item is returned or something like that. And then the green column is your actual earnings. So then a month I did earn. The only thing I would say is I don't massively push these links. They're just dug away in the descriptions of my videos most of the time. So you can imagine how this could become an okay number if I was a channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, you know. It could become something worth sort of talking about, but obviously with my small audience, not so much.
So you made £1.41 in 2020 from your efforts?
Yes, from everything I made £1.41.
Okay.
Would anyone sort of come to you? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just thinking, because it doesn't really relate to the product. I mean, would anyone come to you, Gary, and say, you know, I need a new laptop, so I'll click on Gary's book on how to, I don't know, retire early, buy my laptop, and then we split the difference or something like that in a commission? Or I'm just thinking of a big ticket item that would be a bit more worthwhile.
So maybe I shouldn't admit this, but I did try this. I sent a link. My girlfriend's mum needed to order something on Amazon, and I said, "Oh, hang on, I've just signed up to Amazon Associates. I'll send you the link." And they very cleverly somehow knew that I was related to her, even though at the time Katie and I hadn't been together for ages, and we weren't sort of certainly me and her mum weren't linked in any way. So I did find that quite scary, how much the internet know about us. But somehow they knew that I was related, so to speak, to Katie's mum. So I thought I best not push my luck too much with that, because I've already been caught once. So yeah, I already tried fraud, and I got a slap on the wrist.
But I think the question is more about, you know, when you're doing affiliate links on a blog, people are searching for, you know, what's the best, I don't know, pet feeder or you know, another specific product, and you're going to a website to actually look for reviews, and those, I'm sure those review sites are really earning a lot of money, right?
We spoke about this yesterday on Rebel Finance School, so Dom and Chris probably remember us speaking about this, but review sites will often only actually review the items that they get commission for. So Alan was saying,
that's why I hardly ever trust those review sites.
Exactly. Alan was saying that, like, one of the websites he looked at was for like the top 20 platforms, and Vanguard wasn't even on there. And why is this? Because Vanguard don't pay affiliate links, you know. So yeah, you probably do need to be wary about those sites, and they all happen to have an affiliate link that goes through to the product they're recommending. So you'll probably find most of the sites are recommending the products they get the highest amount for. Sorry, I thought the question was, could I sort of have a friend come to me and say, I'm getting this laptop, can you send me your link and we'll split the difference? Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, I think you understood it quite well, Gary. Thanks. That's good.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe I got it mixed up. But do you think there's certain channels that do better on affiliate links than others? So blogs versus YouTube versus...
I would say blogs are a very powerful thing. People seem to trust blogs quite a lot, actually. I would say it's certain niches probably do a lot better. So a main one that I can think of, being a photographer, would be maybe blogs or YouTubers that are talking about camera products or something. I know that whenever I was buying a camera or a lens or something, I would spend hours watching YouTube videos and reading reviews. So I should imagine it's channels and blogs and platforms that are actually talking about a product probably do really well. Obviously with finance, there's only really the main things I recommend are books that I've read. You know, that's pretty much my main affiliate link is my favorite books and things. So
well, actually you could actually put links to your camera and everything, because when you look at the other finance channels, they all put the links to, you know, camera gear and stuff. It's always there. Just put it, and I see women actually putting, oh, my makeup is this and that, or what I'm you know, wearing and stuff, which is totally random and has nothing to do with the subject. But you know, I was
wondering how far I can push that. So in my description, I have equipment I use. So I have like my camera, my lens, my microphone, my laptop that I edit on, my hard drive that I use for editing, the seat I am sitting at. No, I don't really, but yeah,
everybody does it. Everybody does it, so you know, it's like a standard placement.
What about your underpants?
Yeah, the underpants I wear, the t-shirt I wear, exactly.
What about your makeup?
Yeah, I haven't got so much of that on, hence this shiny patch at the moment from the heat. Maybe I need a powder during the break.
The bronzer looks great, Gary.
Thank you.
Gary,
Gary,
do you have a website? Do you have a website?
For Free Your Finance, I don't, to be honest. It's something I have considered, but I haven't yet. So I have the YouTube, I have the Facebook, and then I have Instagram. So I'm Free Your Finance on all of those. But a website has been considered, because obviously it then allows you to start trying to hit Google results as well. And the videos do rank very well. Google is, I'm sure some of you guys that sort of use websites for your jobs and businesses, Google have started paying a lot more attention to videos recently. So you can actually get videos showing quite high now. So that is something in the pipeline one day when I get round to it.
So because when I was watching something about it, you know, making money on YouTube, and they were saying don't sell things on YouTube, sell it through your website. I thought, Well, I presume they're saying that because you can make more money by selling it via your website.
From the affiliates.
And the other big thing about a lot of the finance guys especially take people to their website, because eventually there's some sort of membership or something for people to sign up to, which is one of the slides that's coming up.
So
the next sort of the next way of getting paid on either YouTube or one of the many social media platforms is sponsorships. So sponsors usually approach larger, more established, I've put companies, but it should have been channels. So it can be that the sponsor either pays you to review a product or service, or sometimes they may just sponsor the channel or sponsor the video. So I don't know if you guys have ever been watching a video and then randomly they'll stop and talk about this really strange product that has nothing to do with the video. That will have been because it was a sponsored video and that company is paid to be in front of that audience.
And if they sponsor you, is that because you're an influencer?
Exactly. And that starts quite early. Are you an influencer? I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but I'm surprised I haven't been approached yet, because they usually do approach people of my sort of size. So maybe I just come across like an absolute donkey, you know, and no one wants me. But I've never been paid to do a sponsored video. Maybe it's because I haven't got an email address to contact me on, and we'll think more good things about myself. But you do need to, again, declare it's a sponsored video. It's really important, because obviously you may be sort of talking more politely about that product that someone's paid you quite a lot of money to talk about. And that is one of my big concerns about sponsorships if I ever reach it. I've noticed quite a lot of the YouTubers in my sort of, I don't want to put people down, but quite a lot of the YouTubers in my sort of surroundings are doing sponsored videos on this and that and this platform and that platform. And I do worry a little bit how much of that is because they're being paid to do it and how much of it is because they truly believe in those products. But obviously that's down for the viewer to discretion, you know. But you have, just like anything, if people pay enough money, I think people are going to talk about it. And I'm sure I'd be very tempted if I got an offer ever. So do you have any idea
what the money is, what kind of money they're talking about?
No, it's actually quite secretive. I watched a video that I think someone mentioned him in the chat earlier, but there's a doctor that has a YouTube video. I think his name's Ali or something. He actually did a video about this, and he sort of made it clear that it's actually quite against most of the contracts to say the amounts, I suppose, because they're sponsoring so many different channels and they don't want it to be used as like negotiating power for maybe smaller channels. But he gave an idea and it sounded like he was getting thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, because he sort of said, oh, it's not this, but it's in that region, you know. So I get the impression for a larger channel, it could literally be tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds. You think one of these big channels that have got 1 million subscribers, that's quite a large number of people to advertise to, isn't it? Especially in a niche like finance, for example, that you would presume most people are then interested in finance, you know.
Well, it's quite sad, really, though, isn't it, that they're just going to divert people away from what they were interested to just sell their product. It's just a bit, I actually really feel it's very wrong, but
yeah, it's most of the channels,
if it's related, but it just seems really wrong if it's not related.
This is the thing I worry about.
The viewers, I mean, I've definitely seen it, but it is spoiling the viewer's experience.
Yeah, this is definitely a thing I worry about with those sponsored videos, that you've got to make your own decision on where the fine line is, you know, and where it is assisting the video and where it's detracting from the video. And I think the viewers will soon give up if you're forever pushing this and pushing that has absolutely sod all to do with what you're talking about. I think the viewers will eventually get fed up with it too. But yeah, so with sponsorships, the potential gain could be a lot, especially if you're a large channel with a high worth fan base such as finance. So next up is memberships. So some channels, quite a few channels actually, offer a private membership, an additional monthly fee. This can actually now be done directly through YouTube. So I don't know if you've ever seen, but some channels have the button to subscribe, and then they have a button that says join. And that will basically give you access to the membership, and supposedly you get access to more videos. Some you actually pay just to get access to that video slightly earlier, which I've always found quite funny that people would pay that, but clearly people do. And it can be done via remote sites such as Patreon. So again, this memberships could be done with any sort of side hustle. If you could build up a group of people that are interested in what you've got to say, you've got to be clear that it's not financial advice. And this is why I haven't yet touched this route, because I'm very worried that people would sign up with a membership with me and be asking questions of, well, what should I invest in? What fund should I buy? Which is obviously very, very, I can't think of the right word, but it's not something I want to be doing basically. And it's illegal too. It's financial advice, and I'm not qualified to do that.
Can you explain a bit about Patreon? Because I've heard a lot of blogs and podcasts also using that. Seems like a really great way to be able to support people.
Patreon is another one, like OnlyFans. I think OnlyFans has got a bad name for itself with a lot of sort of nude girls being on camera, but OnlyFans actually started off as a membership site, basically. So you pay an amount decided by you to access their private material. Now, OnlyFans has slowly become more about, well, I don't think it's solely, but it's more now about girls stripping off, and you can access their videos if you pay a membership. So OnlyFans and Patreon are very similar, but Patreon seems to have gone more the route of getting memberships towards. So for example, people like some of the big finance YouTubers in the UK you may have heard of, The Humble Penny does it, Mama Furfur does it, the Pension Craft Raymond, he does it. They've all often got Patreon groups where you pay an amount. So the memberships can be on different levels. So you may have like a bronze, silver and gold level. So maybe the bronze level will be £2 a month or something. But obviously the idea is if you've got 100 or 200 members all paying you £2 a month, that's another nice revenue stream. Obviously you need to work out how you're going to add value to them. Obviously you've got to work out how you're going to add value to those members. You can't just give them what the free members are getting, otherwise there's no reason for them to pay you. So most offer things like additional videos or early access to videos, and some offer one-to-ones or private Zoom calls and stuff. But again, I have always been a bit worried that that could start going down the road of financial advice, which is definitely not what I'm about. I'm nowhere near qualified or knowledgeable enough to give financial advice. Has anyone got any questions? Because I know I'm blabbering on loads, and I appreciate you may have a question or two.
This is my first meeting with your group. I am very new to, a little bit of background about me. I actually traveled quite a bit, lived in 6 to 7 countries, traveled quite a bit, which gave me lots of experience. Worked with the UN, worked with gaming, Call of Duty companies as a consultant, did a lot of fun stuff. But in my mid-40s now, it just dawned upon me that I've done all this fun stuff, lived as if this, you only live once. And now I realize that I am really far away from financial independence. I did save a bit. I've got pensions in different countries. However, I'm in mid-40s now, and I'm panicking quite a bit and stressing out. So today I opened a Vanguard, stocks and shares. So I'm going to put 20 grand there and invest. I just feel I am so panicking when I speak to yourself only in your, did you say 31? wanting to get financial independence at 35. I've got a long way to go, and I've done all this, but it also took a toll on my mental. As I'm growing older, I'm not able to, deal with this high, stressful job. So I'm at a situation now where I am looking to have a few side hustles. I do trade Forex quite a bit. It's a long way. I have a long way to go, at least 3 to 5 years, if I have the right account balance to make it full time. But, I'm panicking a little bit. So any advice from you on having a few side hustles? I'm happy to go part time, and, that'll be really, really helpful. I know you're not a financial advisor, but, your experience in this would help me, will motivate me.
I'm sure everyone will have something to say about this, but the first thing I'd say is don't stress, don't panic. We're a part of, a few of the members on here are part of a Rebel finance school that's going on every week at the moment. There's calls every Monday, and I think one of the statistics is there's a crazy amount of people that can't afford £1,000 emergency. So if you've got enough to put £20,000 away in an ISA like that, I think you're way in front of many, many, many people. So I wouldn't stress too much. But with regards to side hustles, I do it in things you're interested in. I'd be conscious of getting things that pay you for your time reasonably. I know that some people get into various side hustles like surveys and stuff, and when they really sit down and work out what they're earning, suddenly they're working out that they're earning like 50p an hour or something, and it's really not worth your time. But I would say, yeah, there's so many side hustles available. Caroline has spoken before about match betting, which was quite profitable for some of the members. I will open it. I've spoken a lot, so I'll open it up to everyone else to answer, because I feel like there's so many knowledgeable people in the group.
And I think another thing to say is that, as you pointed out, Gary, you shouldn't compare yourself with anyone else. I mean, there's always going to be somebody who's younger and, closer to fire than you are. It just matters where you start. So you're still in a great position wherever you are. So that is positive.
The next pub event, or event in London, I'll definitely want to attend and get to know you. And
I do agree completely with what Caroline said. Like, I was so lucky that I had a dad that pushed me into this when I was 16 years old. I was so lucky. And I know I count my blessings every day of my dear old dad that I lost, unfortunately, a couple of years ago, that he did kick me in the right direction, and he got me interested in this stuff from an early age. But yeah, I would agree completely. You can only compare yourself to yourself, and then you always see progress if you're comparing only to yourself. There's many people that are a million times better off or whatever than me. So yeah, I couldn't agree more with what Caroline said.
Also, just a note on, I think you mentioned you were 40 something and you're starting FIRE. I don't know if you've seen, there's a blog post from Mona Moustache, and he put a map to show that anyone can be FIRE in something like 11 years. I mean, 11 years sounds a lot, but if you actually FIRE in 11 years, then you put the map behind, and you just you have to save like something like 60% of your income. I'm going to share the post, but yeah, it's it will take a bit of time, but it's achievable as well. I'm posting that now. Yeah,
great article, that one.
Oh, thank you so much.
Another thing you can do is just, what do you enjoy? So I love woodwork, and I've been making like planters. Last summer I made a lot of like planters and things. That's decking boards and that, which I was making. It was a hobby, but I made a few £100. The young lady I'm currently dating, we quite enjoy going walk around a car boot on a Sunday morning. Gets us up and out of bed and saves us lying around till lunchtime. And she's making sort of £400 or £500 a month sometimes, just picking up things like Next baby clothes. So she's identified what sells well, and sometimes she'll go into a car boot, and I've seen her pick up like 5 items of Next baby clothes for £1, which she sold on eBay a week later for like 25 quid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just part of, we enjoy going for a walk on a Sunday morning. It's something that gets us out of bed. So it's not really, other than just maybe washing them as part of your weekly wash, ironing them and hanging them up. And she's making a few £100 a month just for a hobby really, to get out and walk around. I've sold a lot of my old games. I used to play a lot of war games. So I dug all that out of the attic, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to just give it away, because this was probably, in today's money, a few £1,000s worth of stuff that I had. And I'm about a quarter of the way through so far, and I've made about 700 quid just for stuff that sat in the loft doing nothing. So if you're just being creative, there are other ways to sort of fast track this.
That's such a good idea, Chris, because someone in the group earlier said, and I like traveling as well. I've been to about 70, 75 countries, even, to work or to travel. But, someone in the group said, making travel videos. And what Gary said before about YouTube, that's really, really useful. I do something similar on Instagram, but it's not earning me any money at the moment.
What do you do on Instagram, Carla?
I post my travel pictures.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, but I'm planning to do it more as a, post videos and, make it a little more like a business.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to do.
Let's connect.
I have got started. I think we should maybe chat together, because I'm probably, when I heard you speak, I think I'm in a worse situation, because I'm coming up to retirement. I'm 64 next month, and I think, there's all these travel bloggers and they're all young, but it's quite a good time for me, because I'm hoping to build up something. So when I retire, I'll maybe have a little bit of money trickling in and doing something I like.
I'll
not have to worry so much about my financial independence, because I'll still be earning a little bit, and it might build. And I'll be just continuing to do what I want to do. So my aim is to, ideally, I'd like to meet like-minded people to spur me on, and who, ideally, if we work together, it'd be great.
Yes. I don't know, Caroline, is it possible? Is it okay if I send my number to Elaine? Actually, I already did without checking with you.
Yeah, sure. You can send in the chat. You can send, I think you're allowed to send a message to an individual. Otherwise, I'd say just connect, also send a direct message through the Facebook group.
Elaine, I'll send you a message, my number.
Brilliant. This is a low risk, group. I mean, we can help each other out. I mean, we've shared, links for our Airbnb, for example, and asked for feedback on the photographs and the listing. I think we've always, been encouraging people to share their side hustles and their YouTube channels and their blogs for feedback before you go out into the big wide public. So, so the more the merrier. Just share your ideas here or in Facebook, and let's support each other. Great.
I'm going to send you a message, Ellen.
Cool. Was there anything else anyone would like to say before I go on to the next slide?
Show us the money.
Okay. So the final way that you can make money on YouTube is probably the way that most of you see every day when watching YouTube, is the ads that are shown. So to become what is known as part of the YouTube Partner Program, your channel has a requirement of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time to make you eligible. The 4,000 watch hours is a lot. It works out to 240,000 minutes. Not that I was that sad to work it out. Once accepted and set up, your ads will then show up on or around your video. So when I say set up, you have to set up a Google AdSense account, because that is how the money is paid to you. You will then get a share of some of the money made from the ads being shown. Basically, you and YouTube almost become business partners. So they will have to verify your account, make sure you're talking about good things and not hateful things or anything like that. Basically, they will sort of verify your channel and make sure you're a nice person and a nice channel. This process took me 6 months to reach from start to monetization, which from the research I did, obviously I looked quite a lot into this stuff, was pretty quick actually. Many people took 2-3 years to reach monetization, so I was fairly quick reaching this goal. Going back to that, actually, just talking about maybe why I think I reached it fairly quick, I would say that it was probably helped that I posted very consistently. I think I made sure I posted on a weekly schedule so people know what they're getting and what to expect. I don't know if you guys would feel the same, but I think people appreciate seeing regular content and seeing that face coming up maybe every Sunday, for example, you know, and knowing to expect a video from Anders or expect a video from Caroline and so to speak. So next slide about YouTube ads. The very cool thing about payment from ads is it's another one of these sort of side hustles, so to speak, that makes you money while you sleep. So your evergreen content that keeps getting views is paying you all the time. So even in the early hours of the morning, I'm still getting, albeit a very small amount of money from the ads. The amount you get paid is based on something known as CPM. So we're going to get a little bit geeky. It's known as cost per mil, which is basically the cost per 1,000 views, how much a company pays to be shown on or around your video. The CPM increases when the customer's potential worth is worth more. So I am very lucky. The things I talk about, finance and property, have a very, very high CPM, probably one of the highest on YouTube. If you were talking about something like, I don't know, nappies maybe, you'll probably find the CPM would be a lot lower. So the average CPM in the UK, according to one source I found, is around £2 to £4 per 1,000 views. This is my
Is that something
average...
you looked at before you chose finance, or did you just...
No.
Okay.
No, this was complete luck and obviously a massive bonus or a massive touch, definitely, because it wasn't something I knew. And obviously now knowing it, it makes sense. But no, this was complete luck. So maybe maybe that's another tip to come out of today's call. Maybe have a think about what niche you want to talk about and what sort of monetization levels there are. So yeah, Caroline's just made a tip for my slideshow. Thank you. So since monetization, my channel has averaged £12.69 CPM. So it's about 4 times higher than the average, 3 to 4 times higher than the average. You can actually see towards the end of the graph, it is actually currently increasing, which is great. I've highlighted the highest day I ever made was 24. So just to confirm, this is not how much I made. This is how much my CPM was that day. It was £24.75 CPM that day. So companies were paying almost 25 quid to be shown around 1,000 times on my channel.
So there was a question about the CPM.
CPMs.
Pardon?
Where do you find out where to get the good CPMs? Where do you get?
If you Google what topics have good CPMs, you'll find, like, this is where I found the information about average CPMs and stuff. Loads of blog posts will come up. You'll find usually it's anything where the customer has potential of spending a lot of money. So obviously with something like finance or property, you'll find people are potentially it's platforms. You get one of us at 20 years old going into a platform, you think of our lifetime value to that platform, it could be huge, couldn't it? So yeah, I would highly recommend Caroline's come up with a really good tip there. It'd be a good idea to look at if you're thinking of starting a channel, what sort of potential it has. But I wouldn't say
sometimes that's a low risk approach, right? You can always test drive your YouTube idea with something else that you don't really care about, learn the ropes, and then you can launch your real passion as your second channel, and maybe then you've learned some from your mistakes. There was a question, sorry, from Jenny. What was the source of the CPM?
The source of all of this information, if I've understood the question correctly, the source of all of, the information I'm just about to show you is from what is called my YouTube studio. So it's basically my YouTube admin page. So they have all this different analytics. So if I've understood the question correctly, it's all available to any YouTube creator.
Yeah, Gary, actually it was, you answered it before Caroline posed it, because I just said, where would you find it out? So.
Okay. So this information, again, going on to like other side hustles, I have a business Instagram page. This sort of information can be found on the Instagram page. This sort of information can be found on Facebook pages. So most of the major platforms will have some sort of analytical data. Obviously, any of you that have your own websites, you have things like Google Analytics that shows you all this sort of information too. And if you get really geeky, you can tie it up with any sort of Google ads that are running, but we won't go into too much info about that. So how much am I making from ads? So you can see the day before, you can see in the top right corner, the day before I become monetized was the 14th of Feb. So it's the 15th of Feb I monetized, and I've made the grand total of £247.75. This was correct around 2 or 3 days ago when I made the slideshow, so it's slightly more now. The one thing I must add, the other affiliate link I shared, the Amazon Associates with my £1.41, that's probably the lowest. I probably made £200 or £300 from the match betting referrals. I've probably made £200, £300, £400 off of free shares. So I probably am closer to about £700 or £800 in total, but from ads I've made 250 quid basically. You can see my highest ever day was £3.98, which was Monday the 8th of March. You will also see, if you look at the left hand side of that graph, underneath the graph you can see my posting schedule. So what you'll notice is I used to post twice a week, which become unmanageable basically. I was just killing myself to get 2 videos up a week. So as expected, when I dropped my posting schedule, obviously my income hasn't really increased because I've halved the amount of material getting paid for. The RPM.
You find that people go back to older videos? I mean, is there any are newer videos bumped up in the algorithm?
Yeah, so our older videos certainly do still get viewed. So I can see my top earning videos for certain months, and more often than not, the highest earning videos are actually videos from the past. So that is the cool thing about YouTube. It's that idea of evergreen content. So once you've made that video is there forever to keep earning money for you. So I suppose it's like planting a tree and then be in a vineyard maybe. Is that a good analogy, that the more trees you plant, the more fruit you have to make your wines, you know? So yeah, many times my older videos are the ones that are actually bringing in the income for me.
It's like royalties really, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's like royalties, you know, like
exactly.
It continues on while
exactly.
And maybe when you die.
And as long as that video stays relative, you will always get paid for that video. And really, the older that video gets, the more views it gets and the more weight it sort of gets on the YouTube platform as a good video, you know. So yeah, it will always make you money, which is cool. And you will also find, like, I made a video called "Is Buy-to-Let Dead?" And I showed Katie it, all proud, and she said, "I think it's crap, Gary, it's really boring." And she was right. It performed really badly for ages, and then suddenly, about 3 or 4 months ago, it just suddenly got picked up by the algorithm, and it's now my highest viewed video. So you just don't know what's going to get picked up by the algorithm. So yeah, you think you've made a video. I made another one recently about when can I retire, basically talking about the 4% rule and the shockingly simple math and all that sort of stuff, and I thought it was a masterpiece, and it's done nothing, you know. It really has done nothing. So you just don't know what content is going to hit the algorithm, and Irina and I were talking about this in our group earlier. It's just hitting that algorithm basically, which is the same for any form of social media or websites. So very quickly, RPM is my actual revenue per 1,000 views, because obviously the CPM, I don't get that whole amount because that's divided between me and YouTube. We share that amount. So the RPM is the actual amount I get per 1,000 views. So this slide is just sort of saying they are
Gary, have you ever worked out, the earnings per hour? I mean, have you calculated how many hours you put into this?
This is on my slide later, so we'll come back to that if that's okay.
Sorry.
I haven't got figures, so don't get excited. So I've made a silly slide saying they are some really small amounts. Can you actually make money on YouTube or any social media platform? So yes, my revenue is very small. You've got to remember, I am only a year old. I'm still a relatively new channel. quite a few channels aren't even monetized by now. So you've got to understand I'm not really getting paid much. I haven't seen the growth some see, because one of the biggest reasons is I don't talk about the hot topics like cryptocurrencies and stuff, which will bring thousands of views. But that's more because it's not really my cup of tea personally. I know it's for many people. And I was speaking to Anders about this earlier. I've never had that viral video.
Sorry, Gary, you should make a video about why you don't invest in cryptocurrency.
Definitely. That's a good idea. I will do that, definitely. Thanks, Irina. And I've never had that viral video. So a lot of the bigger channels, you'll find that when you speak to them directly, they've usually grown from one video that did well. And they got a lot of their membership or viewership from that one video. So talking about can you make money on YouTube, I found another relatively new UK YouTuber. This one's called Damien Talks Money. I don't know if any of you are aware of him. But when he shared the figures in January 19 of what he was being paid, he was up to £51.75 a day. And this was when he was at around 10,000 subscribers. So, yeah, it's still not going to get you a mansion in Beverly Hills, but it's still 52 quid a day, which is great. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have Graham Stephan, which some of you may have heard of. Graham Stephan actually has 4 channels. This is just one of his channels. This is his statistics for 2020. He earned just over $2 million for one channel, and he had 4. At peaks, he was earning over $13,000 a day just from ads. You've got to think.
Is he in the UK or US?
He's an American YouTuber.
Okay.
He's a finance
finance
YouTuber, but he's an American YouTuber. And you've got to think this is just his ad revenue. So on top of this, he's got affiliate links, he's got probably memberships. I know he sells a course. So the money that he has made is incredible. And his membership has grown a lot more since 2020. God knows.
Born in 1990.
Yeah, he's I know he's now got real estate portfolio worth 120 million.
Yeah, and he's 30 something.
He's quite entertaining actually. I watch him a lot. But he does, if you follow him for a long time, he talks about the same thing over and over and over again. That's the problem with YouTube. At the point you do start to repeat yourself so much. But in the end, if you're making 2 million per year, repeating the same things over and over again, why not?
Yeah, exactly. And he has a big posting schedule. I think on his main channel at one point he was posting 2 or 3 times a week. He then had 3 other channels that he was posting each a couple of times a week. But he's now got staff working with him, so he has an editor, he has someone making his stuff. So obviously he's grown it into a real business rather than a little side hustle. But he, for any of you like me that enjoyed Selling Sunset on Netflix, he actually worked for the Open Hard Group or whatever they were called, that were based on Selling Sunset on Netflix. And he stayed with it. He had over 1 million subscribers while he was still working as a realtor or whatever they call it in the US, estate agent. But he was actually earning a hell of a lot of money off YouTube before he finally sort of gave up his full-time job. So we're just sort of wrapping up now. So we're going on to the pros and cons and a few tips. So before I move on, has anyone got any questions about payment and making money?
Gary, I have a question.
Please.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, Gary, you're obviously putting a lot of time and effort into this. You obviously, you're born for this, and I'm just wondering whether, apart from YouTube, there could be other platforms where you could post your great content, your great videos, to sort of add other income streams now that you've gone to the effort of making these terrific videos.
Yeah, I have been considering this recently. The obvious one being Facebook. So up until now, I've been posting my YouTube videos on Facebook. But what I've heard and what makes perfect sense is Facebook won't actively push a YouTube video, because obviously Facebook's aim is to keep people on Facebook. So yes, you are right. The plan will be to start getting some of the content onto other platforms. I do wonder whether or not it's the right content for Facebook, because I think the video content that works on Facebook is probably very different to video content that works on Instagram and so on and so on. But the fact that I've put so much time and effort into the video, I suppose there's no harm in uploading it and seeing what it does. So yes, there's no reason not to try that, definitely.
I mean, you mentioned OnlyFans before. And I have to admit, showing my age, that was something I hadn't heard of before until I spoke to someone in Germany a couple of weeks ago, who their business is actually running a camming business.
Yeah.
And they're saying that he mentioned that OnlyFans in the last year, because of lockdown, their business has absolutely exploded, you know, from content creators, artists, and it's not adult content. It's all kinds of artists who put their videos up there and get people subscribing. And I'm just thinking, couldn't you maximize your revenue from that?
Yeah,
Harry's camming channel.
I've always felt conscious about having a paid membership. Maybe partly it's because I worry that I'm sharing my journey more than sort of financial advice, so to speak. So I'm wondering how many people would pay to be a member of my information. You know, I can't imagine many people would want to pay to listen to me, but maybe that's just my lack of confidence. It's certainly something to consider. YouTube's definitely the one that I've put all the time and effort in, and I'm still hoping that from a monetary point of view, it does pay off, because obviously you've seen the figures. It hasn't really paid with this. I'm just about to speak about this on the con slide, but right now it hasn't really paid for itself for the hours that I've put into it, and even the investment I've put into it with the couple of bits I've had to buy and invest in. So yes, it's definitely a consideration of how to expand it. I suppose at the moment I'm trying to get big on one. I've made this mistake before in the past, with my business social medias. I tried to have a platform here and a platform there, and I ended up not running any of them very well. So right now I'm trying to just do one platform well. But yeah, I definitely probably will start considering moving into different platforms. And like someone spoke about earlier, I think the ultimate goal would be to have a website and have a membership program. But I'm still deciding what memberships will get someone, you know, and what payment will introduce to them.
Sorry, last question. I'm just wondering, with the YouTube thing, your videos still belong to you, right? You don't sell your soul to YouTube. You have the right to do with those videos what you want.
Yeah, so I can upload them wherever I want. I can share them onto my my website and stuff. I don't know if there is. You hear about these things, don't you? Like with WhatsApp, apparently, if you send your photos across WhatsApp, apparently they're then WhatsApp's product and they can sell them. But I think it's unlikely it ever would happen. I don't know how much truth there is behind that and how much of that is scaremongering tactics. But yeah, I can then go on and share my videos wherever I wish. So I could upload them somewhere else. Cool.
Sorry, I didn't understand when you were saying that about Facebook. So obviously you do some videos and you put them on YouTube. Well, can't you just put some of those videos on Facebook? Because they're not actually YouTube videos necessarily, are they? Can you just not put them on in a different way rather than linking to your YouTube? Just put them on. And similarly with Google. So, or slightly shorten them, slightly do a cut of them, a taster of them or something.
Yeah, you 100% can. What I probably didn't explain very well earlier is what I meant was YouTube is quite a long form way of viewing video, people go on YouTube and expect to have a 10-minute video. Facebook is a much more a viral video, 30-second clip, you know. So I think, I'm not saying it has to be like that, but you don't often get, I have to admit, I don't often end up watching a 15-20-minute video on Facebook. I'm much more likely to watch a cat laughing at something, you know. So what I was trying to explain is I don't know if my content is the right sort of type of content to really get viewed on Facebook. But obviously I don't know that until I try it, and you're 100% right. Yeah, of course, it's ultimately, I've got that MP4 file. I can upload that wherever I wish. I could upload it to Vimeo, Facebook, Instagram, wherever I want. But no, what I was trying to say is I think maybe I'd need to think about the edits for Facebook, because I think the type of content that works on Instagram is different to Facebook, which is different to Twitter, which is different to YouTube. So I think I just didn't explain that very well.
Yeah, but there might be some salient point out of your YouTube video that you can just pick on that will, you know, spark people's interest.
I think if I did ever move over more onto Facebook, I'd probably concentrate on much shorter content and doing like short, quick tips sort of thing, with the ultimate goal of driving them onto my website or driving them onto my YouTube channel. But yeah, you're 100% right. I could easily upload my videos onto Facebook, and I probably should do that, definitely, because I've got all the content made, and obviously I still own those files.
No, but you just cut it bit by bit, just every now and then put a bit out of your video in there.
Yeah, definitely. And I have.
So what would the monetization be on Facebook? Do you get paid for ads?
I believe so. I don't know because I've never done it, but I believe so, because I've certainly noticed ads show in a very similar way on Facebook. So I presume it's the exact same case. And you'll often find, you'll see it on YouTube and Facebook, that just as the thing is about to happen that you're waiting to see, the ad pops up, doesn't it? And they do it perfectly. You know, they know exactly what they're doing. They get you hooked into the video, and then they show the ad, so that you then sit through the ad and they get paid. So it's very clever. These people aren't silly.
It's also another point on short video. There's I mean, you probably have heard of TikTok, and everybody says for the younger people, but actually, I watch it, and it's very like I can spend sometimes like hours on watching like 50 seconds clip, and I think there's so much content there, and you know, the way they monetize that is. I'm not clear how they do that. So, but they manage to find a lot of content creator, and so there must be a way that people get paid for that. I mean, the content creator. So you know, when you talk about short clip of Facebook, I'm actually wondering if like Instagram and TikTok would also be like a secondary way to also make money out of it. So
definitely
something to think about. Yeah.
Hi everyone. I just wanted to add something there. Just a quick introduction. This is my first meeting of virtual. So happy to be here and listen to everything they're talking about. And I just thought that I'd add something to what you were saying, Gary, a second ago about the videos on Facebook. I suppose like most of you would have noticed, but I've noticed quite more recently. Facebook has been around for a million years, but I think it's been more recently that especially in the app in the phone, there's a tab specifically for videos. And like when you see a video in your newsfeed, which is you know, just in a standard post, and you watch it, then very often you get like moved automatically to the video tab, and then Facebook recommends you related videos, and you just go automatically from one to the next. And obviously those videos Facebook is recommending you in that video tab. They are clearly tailored for you, because obviously Facebook has a lot more information about us than YouTube or Google or pretty much any other search engine. So, and obviously you can monetize those as well, because there are ads that come automatically. So I think, I thought I'd add that, because I think that's also relevant.
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen that myself, actually, that after you've watched a video, there's then relative videos, aren't they? And it almost moves you straight on. Yeah. Because YouTube, just another sort of caveat, YouTube have actually very recently introduced something known as YouTube Shorts. So they're trying to do something very similar to TikTok.
Yeah.
where they have like mini clips playing in portrait modes, and they're literally less than 60-second clips. So yeah, I suppose going back to the original question, you could spend hours. I suppose you've got to work out where you want to spend your time. You could spend hours on YouTube, and then Facebook, and then TikTok, and then Instagram, and then Twitter. I suppose really that maybe that's another reason why at the moment I'm sticking to YouTube, because I spend so many hours just on YouTube that I'd probably need to commit a similar number of hours on one of the other platforms too. But yeah, moving back onto the slide.
Gary, I just had one question. And,
Sure.
And tell me to shut up if you're
No,
going to cover this.
I'd rather you interact.
Do you have a target in mind? I mean, is there a number that you're aiming for, that you'd like to set yourself after X number of months or years? And
No.
if you don't get that number, are you going to pack it in?
No, to be honest with you, there's not a number that I'm aiming towards. I really do it because I enjoy it. And that's why the second that the posting 2 times a week become too much for me, it was just, oh, I'm going to stop doing it, you know, because I wasn't doing it to earn money. Like, I don't mean that arrogantly, but I don't need the income. It's not like I'm relying on this income to pay for my mortgage. So I definitely am not ever going to do it because for that reason, because that then keeps the enjoyment. And that's something I would say to everyone that was talking today about wanting to start a YouTube channel. I do think it's probably in some respects important to not do it with the ultimate goal of earning money, because I think that's then going to take the enjoyment and the excitement out of it. I think you do need to do it with something you're actually passionate about. And I really am passionate about finance in a really strange and geeky way. I could spend hours talking about finance. And like I've said so many times, like these finance calls are literally the highlight of my calendar. That is how cool I am, that I'm excited to talk about money and property. So no, I don't have any ultimate goals, but I'll keep trying to grow it. It's become my baby now, and I'd be very sad to let it go. I do think it's going to become even more difficult when eventually I am back full-time working at weddings, but my ultimate aim is to slow down quite a lot on weddings. So I'm hoping that it fits in quite nicely with that. Obviously, where I have sort of lean-fied now, I don't need to sort of really push myself on the weddings. And that was one of the reasons why I gave the photo booth business away, because I didn't really need to be doing that anymore. And the stress that come with managing staff and equipment all around the Southeast, it was just too much stress. I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't need the money. So I'd rather give it to someone that did. So does that sort of answer the question?
Yep.
Awesome. So yeah, pros of YouTube that I've found in the last year is helped keep me driven and committed to reach my own goals in investing. By sharing what I'm going to do, it gives me someone to be attainable to. Is that the correct expression? Accountable, sorry, not attainable, accountable.
Accountable, yeah.
I meet and speak to some really interesting people, which has been fun. I make a small income, although it's although to start with, you cannot do it for the money. We just spoke about that, because the hours you put in is ridiculous. And I'm going to talk about that on the next slide. And it's helped me learn more when researching for the videos. So for example, a while back, I did a video comparing ISAs to SIPs. And I actually learned loads myself by making that video. Obviously, I wanted to give correct information, so I really spent hours researching for that video, and it was quite useful and interesting for me to find out. And there was things I didn't know about ISAs and SIPs that I found out. Next up, some of the cons of YouTube. So the biggest one, I'm sure you're all thinking, is it so time consuming? I know Caroline said, do you know what your hourly rate is? I would imagine it's probably about 0.0001p an hour at the moment. Anders was surprised to hear in the breakout room that I reply to every comment. I have to research for the video, I have to prepare for the video, I have to shoot the video, I have to edit the video, I have to create thumbnails, I have to create keywords. You get the point. I then have to share it on my Instagram page, my Facebook. So the hours I've put in is literally almost like running a small business. So at the moment, this is what I'm saying, you can't do it for money because it's not worth it. You know, any good businessman would say there is no common sense in doing it for money when you start off with. But obviously, like any side hustle, it's the potential end goal. Like, potentially, could I become another Graham Stephan? I'd highly doubt it, but could I be earning $2 million a year? And then suddenly it's an extremely successful business. It can be demotivating at times in regards to what we were speaking about earlier, especially when you're comparing yourself to others. So I think I touched on it earlier, that sometimes you'll see YouTubers come on after you, get that sort of viral video and very quickly overtake you. That can be quite demotivating, as you can imagine. It can make you think you're not good enough and your videos are not good enough. It's very slow to build compared to some other side hustles. So if we look at something like match betting, providing you have a bit of a bankroll, you can pretty much get going. Providing there's a horse racing or football games on that weekend, you're pretty much ready to go, right? Whereas obviously YouTube, like, you know, it took me 6 months to reach monetization. So it's a much slower build. Personal information's on the internet, and I know that's something we were speaking about earlier. It does worry me just how much information I'm giving away. Negative comments, trolls and dislikes. Luckily, I'm quite thick-skinned, so they don't worry me too much. But if you are quite sensitive, I can imagine some of them would be quite nasty, and people can be very, very nasty people online behind their keyboards. And then the final slide is top tips if you want to start a channel or a social media platform or whatever. I would say my biggest tip is get started. I know it's a really useless, flaky tip, but I really would say it's probably one of the most important ones. Just get going, because you're the only one stopping yourself, basically. Try and stay consistent. Video quality and upload schedule, for example, on YouTube. I would even say on things like Instagram, you'll find a lot of the successful Instagram pages, when you actually look at their sort of storyboard as a whole, they're all very consistent. You'll find they use particular color schemes or particular templates. Not always, but most of the time, consistency is key. Back to YouTube, keep to a good audio quality. I think that's really important. I think people can put up with a slightly bad picture quality, but I think audio is very important. Find your niche. It's more important as the channel becomes older. You don't want someone coming to your channel and 1 minute you're talking about finance, next minute you're talking about maybe drones, next minute you're talking about a Ford Fiesta, you know. And then finally, connect with the community. So obviously, once you build up this membership, I think it's quite important to sort of treat them as your customers, really. So YouTube Lives can really help with this. So my final slide says, wake up, it's over. Luckily, I can't see you, so I can't see how many of you have nodded off in your chairs. But is there any questions? I've said it doesn't have to be about YouTube. You're welcome to ask me about anything. I don't know how we're doing for time and how long we've got left on the call, but fire away.
Fire away, indeed.
Gary, could I ask you, I don't know if you touched on this earlier, but do you worry about running out of subjects for videos, or running out of content? Because I know you said about, you know, it's difficult sometimes to upload, but that's not what I mean. I mean, just the actual, you know, do you have a big list of things that you've got to talk about? Do you have too much that you want to, do you have sort of plenty of supply of stuff, or is it difficult sometimes?
It's difficult sometimes, definitely.
Yeah.
So I do have my sort of base subjects that I cover every month. So they're my portfolio updates and my investing experiment I'm doing. But then sometimes, yes, it is difficult, and you're completely right. Sometimes it can be like, oh, what the hell am I going to do a video about this week? And I think that's when Irina was speaking about Graham Stephan earlier, saying how his content becomes very similar. It's probably because he's posting so often that he's just running out of things to say, because of course there's only so many things you can say about an index fund, you know. So yeah, you're completely right. It does become difficult at points.
Yeah, I watched, I used to watch quite a bit of Graham Stephan, but yeah, it started to sort of feel like it was on a bit of a loop. And don't get me wrong, that guy is incredible. From a young age, he works so hard. I mean, he just puts hours of research into his videos and stuff. Yeah. And he was a real estate agent, and he got lucky as well with the timing of being a real estate agent at the right time, and in California and now in Vegas. But yeah, there's only so much of it you need to watch. But the thing is, because he's such an established brand in himself, people will just watch for the sake of it. But I find with his videos now, they're typically 10 to 15 minutes, and I just feel like I can't justify that much time.
Yeah.
So I realize why everyone's doing the longer videos, because they can monetize them more and put adverts mid-roll adverts and stuff.
Exactly.
But I'm finding now that I will just not bother watching the video and rather watch 3 5-minute videos by someone else.
That's interesting to know. Because
yeah.
I should have said this in my slideshow, but most YouTubers aim for a certain amount of time, which is 8 minutes, because as soon as you go over 8 minutes, you can introduce something known as a mid-roll ads. So if it's under 8 minutes, you can only have ads at the beginning and the end. But the minute you're over 8 minutes, you can have a mid-roll ad too. So you'll find quite often most channels are aiming for 8 minutes or more. So you often find a channel's video will be like 8 minutes, 2 seconds, and it's a coincidence. Well, it's not a coincidence. It's because they want a mid-roll ad.
Yeah, I mean,
in terms of no, go ahead.
Oh, so I was just going to say about that. Some of the YouTubers are really, really good, and I quite happily watch that because you know they've got such valuable content, and you know they're easily comparable with official documentaries you might see on mainstream TV. But yeah, then there's the odd few where you can see they've definitely just tried to make it last for those mid-roll ads. And you don't want to be like that, really, because I'd rather those people just had a few short videos and in between. Because otherwise what happens
if I'm struggling for content, I'll definitely just cut it down. So I will share a 5-minute video. If I haven't got enough to say and it's a 5-minute video, it will be a 5-minute video, definitely.
Yeah, I think posting a couple of short videos is better than you know, trying to find 2 long videos just for the sake of it. Because what I find is that if there's certain people, if I skip a few videos of certain people I'm subscribed to, then they don't come up in my feed, and then they drop off and I kind of forget about them for a bit.
Sure.
So you don't want that to happen. Definitely.
Sure.
But do you ever worry about just like what happens if you just completely run out of stuff? Or
I do worry about it. I think I'll always be able to find something I can talk about, especially where, like, for example, the very easy one is just my monthly portfolio update, because obviously I can do that every month. So there's always something I can share. But yes, when I'm sort of trying to make those more educational videos, sometimes I do think, oh, what can I talk about next? So I've done ones about ISA versus SIP. I've done ones about the life strategy funds. I've done one about VWRL. I've done one about VUSA. And obviously I'm working through all this different content. I've done one about opening a Vanguard account. So yeah, you are right. Eventually I am going to have less and less to talk about, and we'll have to cross that bridge when I get there. But luckily at the moment, I've still got a few more ideas.
Harry, I wanted to ask about the clicks. Sorry. In terms of the length of the videos, I think it was Humble Penny who was sharing also his YouTube journey, and he said, you know, what counts as a click? Do you have to, or what counts as a view? Do people have to watch the whole video? Is there a cutoff like 30 seconds or a minute? Because you're also counting those, right? Not just the ads.
I don't know the answer to that, to be honest, Caroline. I don't know how they count that, to be truly honest. So I don't know the answer.
Does it matter? I mean, no, because you're not getting any money from that, but it's going into when you see the statistics underneath the video of like 10 million views.
Yeah, so regarding clicks, one of the big sort of metrics we look at is something called the click-through rate. So very similar to a website, how many people are clicking on that thumbnail. It's just like how many people click on a website in Google search results, you know. So obviously the higher the click-through rate, the more people are then clicking on that video ultimately. So obviously the argument is the higher you can get that click-through rate, the better, of course, because the more bums on seats you're getting to watch that video. So that's the main metric regarding that I look into, is click, and I try and get, so one of the main ways I do that is by A/B testing different thumbnails. So I'll run one thumbnail and then I'll run another thumbnail, and I'll compare the results of the two. And if I find one thumbnail is performing a lot better, I then keep that thumbnail and I create another thumbnail and I do the same process, if that makes sense.
Do you do A/B testing on other things? I mean, do you go back and study, you know, your graph and see which topics, is there a pattern in what seems to work and what doesn't? Or is it a completely random algorithm?
I don't know if any of you have paid enough attention to my videos. You probably haven't, but I've been playing around with intro or no intro. So I've been playing around. I've been playing around either just getting straight on with the video or having a bit of an introduction where I have a bit of a cheesy intro to music with like shots inside my buy-to-lets and stuff. So yeah, I do test things like that. And you can look at audience retention, so you can see how many people are dropping off. So you can literally see if you say something and you see a massive drop in views, you know that just don't say that thing again, whatever you just said. Obviously it didn't connect well with the audience. So one thing I found is, as I got toward, say I was presenting something, before I did my remaining spiel, I used to say, okay, so that's enough for today's video. And I'd notice my views just go bang, you know? So I learned that I don't say that. First I say, I would suggest you watch this video next. So I get a chance to push people towards something else first. I was making the big mistake of saying, right, so that's that for today's video. And the second I said that, it was click off, done, bye, you know? So you can learn quite a lot from looking at those graphs and working out where it's gone wrong.
Helen had a question about what you learned from the intro, non-intro experiment.
At the moment, I'm struggling to find a big difference. And I've actually had some people comment, say, where's the intro? I really like it. Some people have told me that the intro makes it look more professional. Whereas others have told me that they'd rather just get on with the video and not have any faff. So I think it's probably just as my results are telling me, I think it's quite personal preference.
I think I'm sure there's going to be more questions, but as usual, we will wrap things up roundabout now for the 2-hour mark, and then I'll just say a huge thank you to Gary, and then open it to you guys to keep chatting, because I think you know, Elaine and Cara and some of you, if you're still here, I know that many of you had more questions to ask Gary. This has been a fantastic session. I can't thank you enough, Gary, from all of us. I've learned many things about YouTube. I'm still not sure that we're going to go out and make our channel, but we do, you know, every time Anders and I see something funny, we're like, oh, somebody should start a channel about that. So maybe that'll trigger something for us. But you've given us brilliant knowledge today, and please, for the rest of you, join us at the park picnic in July if you can. We've posted the Facebook links for our group, for Gary's group. There's plenty of other London fire groups, so join those if you're on Facebook. Otherwise, just sign up on the Meetup page so that you can stay with the community and ask questions. But yes, if you've got questions about YouTube or anything else, just please stay around. If you've got basic fire questions, I know there were quite a few newbies here as well. Probably still quite a few people in the group who can answer them.